Game week 38, the final game week of the season. Everything you thought you knew about this game week changed in game week 37. And if you haven't adjusted your thinking yet, this video is for you. I'm Josh from FPL Hauly. I've 17 seasons playing FPL and I'm a top 1k all-time rank manager. Let's make this game week count. Here is my squad as it stands before I make any changes. I got a green arrow in game week 37. I'm now sitting at 62k overall rank. My target is to get top 50k and I need to make up just 7 points. I have 2 free transfers and 0.9 million in the bank. This is our last shot to achieve our FPL goals this season. So let's make these transfers count. This is arguably the most important slide in the video, because if you're still approaching game week 38 like it's a normal game week, then you're already behind the pack. So Arsenal are Premier League champions, and they have a Champions League final 6 days post game week 38. Arteta will balance giving players minutes with keeping them fresh. So Havertz started and scored against Burnley in game week 37, and he was subbed on 72 minutes. I would expect similar management against Crystal Palace in game week 38. Speaking of Crystal Palace, they have their Conference League final just 3 days after game week 38. Now, Glasner has said he won't rotate heavily, but managed minutes with that tight turnaround has to be on his mind. And Man City have nothing left to play for this season. They did the domestic cup double, but context is critical to our strategy for game week 38. So if Arsenal and City have question marks against them, who do we actually target? Spurs and West Ham are fighting for survival. They both play at home and it's a straight shootout. West Ham need to win and hope that Spurs lose. Spurs just need to avoid defeat because of their far superior goal difference. The pressure is enormous on both sides. Bournemouth have guaranteed European football for the first time in their history. Depending on results, they could still end up in the Champions League. And with the title race over, we need to follow the motivation. So here's a view that not all managers will have considered. For every single place higher a team finishes in the Premier League, that's an extra 2.7 million more in prize money. Look at that cluster from Bournemouth in 6th down to Everton in 12th. Just 7 points separates them. So let's take Everton as a case study. A win away at Spurs could catapult them 3 places up the table. That's not just a potential European spot, that's potentially £8 million more in the transfer budget for next season. Not all motivation is obvious, so don't underestimate these teams. And speaking of Everton, I want to double down on this fixture specifically, because on the face of it, Spurs playing at home should be an advantage. Spurs at home this season have won 2, drawn 6, and lost 10. That is a dreadful home record. They have won twice at home all season, and the last time they won at home was on December 6th in game week 15. Now, Everton's away record, on the other hand, they've won 6, drawn 5, and lost 8. They actually have a better away record away from home than at home this season. The pressure is all on Spurs to deliver. Everton can play with a certain level of freedom, they travel well, and they're motivated. So this fixture is one I am keeping a very close eye on. Before I get into specific transfer targets, you need to know which tier of manager you're in, because your rank determines your strategy. So if you're happy with your rank, playing it safe is the move. You want to mirror the template, minimize downside, and protect what you've built. If you're chasing, like me, you're in the upside chasing camp. You want 10 to 30,000 places to gain. You need a few calculated bets, and that is where I sit. And if you've got a really big gap to close, or you just want to go out with the bang, the Hail Mary is for you. Maximum differential, high risk, high reward. Your profile determines your strategy. So be honest with yourself before you make any moves. And what manager profile are you? 1, 2, or 3? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. So I'm going to focus on midfield and striker transfer targets this week. For me, that's where the upside is. For the template pick in midfield, it's Enzo Fernandez. He's 6.4 million. He's playing Sunderland away. He's 11% owned, and he averages 4.29 points per game away from home. And he scored in Gameweek 37. So he's in form, and he's the talisman of that Chelsea side. For differentials, Everton are my target. And Jai at 6.3 million is on penalties, plays Spurs away, and is only 5% owned. The risk is that it's a tight game, but the motivation for Everton is there. And the player catching my eye, though, is actually Keenan Dewsbury-Hall. So the budget option at just 5.3 million, he's 8.1% owned. And here's the stat that really stood out to me. He actually averages 5.4 points per game away from home, which is the highest on this slide. In a more open, fluid game where Everton are looking to catch Spurs on the break, KDH's style could suit that game perfectly. And if you want that Hail Mary, Somerville at 5.4 million for West Ham at home to Leeds. 1.3% owned. The form isn't there on paper, but he was electric early in the season before he got injured. And as a differential, Somerville could be the difference to your final rank. Same approach for the strikers. I'm focusing on motivated fixtures, penalty takers, and form. So the template pick is Calvert-Lewin at 5.8 million. He's on penalties, he's playing West Ham away, and he's averaging 4.12 points per game. He's 13.4% owned, but he's got 4 goals in his last 5. So Dominic Calvert-Lewin is in great form and potentially pushing for a place in England's World Cup squad. Differential is Bowen at 7.7 million. He's also on penalties, West Ham are at home to Leeds, and he averages 5.17 points per game at home, which is the highest on this slide. Now, West Ham must win. Bowen is their talisman. He's 13% owned, so not a massive differential, but I believe his ceiling is the highest here. The Hail Mary options would be Richarlison at 6.4 million, also on penalties, playing Everton at home, and then Krupi Jr. at just 6.5% owned. He has 13 goals this season, which I believe is a Premier League record for a teenager. He scored against Man City in Gameweek 37 and is in brilliant form. So for me, West Ham must win. Bowen's the talisman, so he stands out as my pick. So with all of that in mind, here are the moves I am strongly considering. Wilson is in the departure lounge. His minutes were managed in Gameweek 35 and 36, and then he just got 11 minutes off the bench in Gameweek 37. Fulham have nothing to play for, so Wilson is making way, likely for Keenan Dewsbury-Hall. Thiago is also under consideration. I think Thiago could actually do well at Anfield. Liverpool are leaking goals right now, but they are better defensively at home. So Bowen is potentially coming in for Thiago. The thing I love about this transfer combination is Dewsbury-Hall's average points per game away and Bowen's average points per game at home gives a combined average points per game of 10.57, which is on paper at least enough to get me into the top 50k because I need a 7-point swing to move me up the ranks. So of course, nothing in FPL is guaranteed, but I like that framework. So to reiterate, these are just transfer plans right now. My advice this game week is to try and save your transfers until deadline day on Sunday. So who gets the armband in Game Week 38? So I'll talk about Haaland first, because you're probably wondering. Now, I plan to hold Haaland. I would only sell if we get news he doesn't start. In that instance, some of you might consider a romantic double move of selling Haaland to bring in Mo Salah for his last FPL game week. So on Haaland, I will not be captaining him unless we know for sure that he starts. And even then, his minutes may be managed. City have nothing to play for, and I don't want to captain someone who might be managed or rested. If team news confirms he's starting, we can make that call together on the deadline day stream. My 2 real captain options are Bowen and Bruno Fernandes. So the case for Bowen, it's a must-win fixture. He's on penalties and he's the talisman. 5.17 points per game at home this season, But the risk is he hasn't actually scored a goal since game week 24, so he's not in great form. Now, the case for Bruno, he has matched the all-time Premier League assist record. He could break it this game week, which is great personal motivation for him. He's 5.71 points per game away from home this season, which is actually better than Bowen. And the risk is that Brighton have the 4th best home defence this season, and Bruno will be the template captain pick. So if you want the differential, go Bowen, and if you want to protect your rank, go Bruno. Bowen, Bruno, or someone else entirely, who gets your armband in game week 38? Drop it in the comments and let me know. So one final thing, and this is really important. Do not make your transfers early this game week. If you can, you really should try and hold them. The only reason you should be making transfers is if you know exactly the moves you want to make and you're going to be priced out from any price changes. The entire reason that Game Week 38 is different is that all 20 teams kick off at 4 p.m. together on Sunday. So potentially, team news will emerge in the hour before the deadline. So join me for the last deadline stream of the season. Sunday the 24th of May, that's 1:30 p.m. UK time, which is 1 hour before the Game Week 38 deadline. We will work through our dilemmas together and lock in our final squads of the season. Let's end this season on a high together. I'll see you there. So that's Game Week 38. Follow the motivation, hold your transfers, and I'll see you Sunday for my last deadline stream of the season. And finally, a huge thank you for watching FPL Hauly this season. This is my first season making FPL content, so if you've enjoyed this video, smash the like and subscribe buttons because I've got big plans for next season. And as always, best of luck in Game Week 38, and I will see you next season.